a ding, and yes, it means that the BetaSaaSers group is live today. It's Janet and Richard and Sam. We have an agenda which I look has been updated with data, at least by Richard. It looks like Richard's handwriting, or Richard's. I can see Richard's. I don't know, essence all over it or something. I don't know what I'm saying.
Right.
I
don't want to seem annoying, but I think it does help knowing who brings up the agenda.
Oh, absolutely, yes, yes, absolutely. No, it's very good. And I'm just, if I'm making less sense than usual, I'm undergoing coffee withdrawal, which is giving me kind of strange headaches. But so I think it's, I was having trouble sleeping, so I've just given up coffee again. It happens fairly frequently that I give up coffee and then I relapse. Anyhow, so let's look through the outstanding action items. Amanda assures me he has now, like, I know that he's reviewed all of my changes to the textbook because he came back with questions about all of them, and then I had to answer those. And then, anyway, so he now says he's satisfied with all the changes and is apparently on the cusp of releasing the new textbook. So some outstanding things from last week or previous weeks. Rose had mentioned some outstanding issues, but she hasn't been around to follow up. So yeah, we'll wait and see. I still not sure about what this YouTube blocking issue for her, or I don't have a good answer for that. That was also something for Rose, but we will be looking at closely as we go forward. Oh, I have the discussion last week, if not the week before. I noted that the fact that edX only shows its times in UTC is just a big pain. Really, it would be much nicer if it showed the times of the students' times when they were in. I've sent an email to edX. I'll note that if we want edX to change things, then one of the most effective ways to do that is to go to help.edx.org, which I don't know if you've seen before, Janet. Maybe I know Richard has. But so it's sort of, it's their support boards for what have you, processes. Anyway. I think you may need to, if you want to view it, Janet, you'll need to create an account separate from your existing edX accounts. I may be wrong. Anyway, but so if for example, Janet, you were to take some of the energy that or the passion that you have about the UTC issue and post in there, and then we would all pile in and say, yes, you should change that. Then that's, I think, our most effective leverage on edX to get them to actually change things. So anyway, I'll mention that. I'll pop that in the minutes so that other people can refer to that later if the site's going to work. There we go. Right.
And while
go on.
I think this is sort of related. So that mechanism, and just tell me if you can't hear me, okay?
I can hear
that mechanism for like getting sort of suggestions or like non-urgent issues is all fine and clear.
Yes.
I don't know any other good way other than that same forum for like emergency or more urgent issues.
No. I mean, I think if there's an emergency, I mean, you can in principle email technical@edx.org, but I don't know that necessarily guarantees a fast response. I mean, in some ways, the fastest thing is likely to get me. I mean, I am now not on Skype so much. The fastest way to get me. We do have the we do have the BetaSaaSers group on Agile Ventures, and if you mention if you do @Tansaku in this room,
got it.
Then that's probably now your fastest way of alerting me to anything, and then I can. I mean, I think the way edX wants it is they basically want if we've got a serious issue with the system, then I'm supposed to bring it up with Elena, who's my contact at edX, and I can, if it's serious enough, as I did with that previous issue that we had with the AutoGraders, I can bring it up with Armando, and I can get him to escalate it. Although we need to use that great power sparingly, as they say. With great power comes great responsibility. Yes. So we'll put it like this. We're going to put a note here, or even here. Note to get Sam's attention fast for critical issues. Use Slack. I forgot what it's called. BetaSaaSers channel. And mention that because actually it's at something. What is nice, what I like about So the danger with Skype is if you're not online and someone, you don't get any notifications of the fact that someone's trying to communicate with you. Whereas if you mention the person's name with the @ symbol in front on Slack, it will email you to say you've been mentioned. So it's anyway, that's a nice feature. Anyway,
yeah.
So there we go. So anything else to add to the agenda? Obviously, got some things from Richard. Janet, did you have any particular things that you wanted to?
Well, I had that issue I emailed you about on Sunday, where the directories you were in were causing me trouble.
Yes. So we can definitely look at that together. Yeah. I was hoping that you would be here so we could do that. Okay. Anything else to add to the agenda so that we don't accidentally forget it in the heat of the moment?
Everything's going well for me, really.
Great. Good show.
They've all happily submitted homework 0 and got it done, and
all right.
One didn't get it working out of the whole class. So.
Oh wow! Oh great!
Yay!
Cool. Thumbs up. I'm putting my thumb up. You can imagine. That's the one thing about Skype has this nice screen share and video, and they don't have the combination. Anyway, you get to see the nice screen here. So we've got the new MOOC coming up. The landing page is now up. We're just in the process of getting the TA training course set up for that, and I'm trying to recruit the TAs who I'm going to allow me to relax into an executive role of the MOOC and not have to do very much. I'm thinking of trying to move to attending this meeting fortnightly. Obviously, as we've proved over the summer, I don't have to be here to have this meeting. But as my commitments, I'm full time at this Makers Academy Coding Bootcamp in London now, and So anyway, does that Richard, you and I might alternate on leading the meeting?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I would like to be more helpful and to be like my like you, who's now my mentor.
You're very kind. You're very kind.
No, but seriously, I know I had issues like years ago. Like I was frustrated when we first started up.
Sure.
But I'm just not as either energetic or as committed as you. But I'm certainly happy to help out in whatever way I can.
You demonstrated great energy and commitment over the summer, and yes, I think it's also it's good if we can work together on that. So yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that. Let's, I guess, should we dive into the homework 2 directories things first? Is that all right, Richard?
That's fine, totally.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know, Janet, do you want to share your screen? I mean, I can go to places, I guess I could easily from here, I could go and we could look at your Spock, and was it that you were, now, forgive me, you're in Wesleyan? What's the name of your university?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a problem with the Spock.
No, okay, right.
I actually took the MOOC instructions from last summer that had worked just fine last summer and ran them on the same computer. And I am really kind of baffled.
Okay, yeah, no, well, let's have a look.
Something changed in what we were grabbing out of GitHub somehow.
Okay, all right. No, we can hopefully track this down. So you're saying that here.
What happens is when I do the git clone.
Yes.
It creates Rails intro directory, and then inside the Rails intro directory, there's a Rotten
Potatoes directory. Yes.
So, but if I try to do the bundle install from Rails intro.
Yes.
For the instructions, there's no gem file, and it does so. It complains that it won't do it.
No, indeed. Yes. So I mean, that looks to me here like both the. That's interesting. I mean, that looks.
I don't know whether it used to work before and something has changed.
I think you doing bundle install. I mean, fundamentally, if you want bundle to work, you have to have a gem file. Right. Otherwise, it will just kind of go. Blah, blah, blah.
Right. So that works by just CDing into Rotten Potatoes.
That's right, and
you notice that part's missing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's just an additional CD, but looking at this both in the README that we have in here, and also in the in your Spock, and potentially also in the
and in the video.
And in the yeah, I mean that's kind of.
I'm just trying to remember. I don't remember having trouble with this over the summer, and I'm baffled because I spent hours on it this weekend.
Sure.
Have you checked your directories and permissions and all that? Are you trying to do it into the same area that you had before, maybe overriding?
No, I did it. In fact, I even did it on both computers. I thought, oh, maybe because I switched computers. I said, oh, maybe the new computer is missing something.
No, basically, there is, you know, if you're in the Rails, at least looking at the structure that we have on here, there's no way that bundle is ever going to work if you're not inside the Rotten Potatoes directory.
Right. So I must have CD'd when I did it before. But then the second piece is then you run into problems because you need to be in, that also needs to be your Git directory.
It needs to be.
Won't be. So that's the other piece, right? So that's
right, for pushing to, yes.
When you push to Heroku.
No, absolutely, absolutely, yes. Yeah, I guess, I mean, it's in, now is it? I thought that I went.
I don't know how I got it working over the summer because I'm sure I must have run into this same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just pulling up here. So what we've got, I want to look at this was the MOOC over the summer, and what's that there? That's it there, and then the first page, and there would be the video with me, and yeah, all of the instructions.
I don't know how it worked.
Yeah, we could even have a look at me here and just sort of scroll. Will it let me scroll through faster?
Yeah, and I did watch you when I was doing this Sunday because I remembered I'd followed along with you before. But you kind of skipped a couple steps because there were things you'd done before.
Let me see here. Let's be doing the clone of that. Well, I'm typing it out, am I? Right. Cloning to Rails intro, and then I would have CD into Rails intro, and yes, this is a bit like the bundle install that Flutter. Yeah, and that word. So that implies there that I must have had the gem file in that directory. Otherwise, it would not have worked. Yeah. And you're correct. So I mean, I don't know if something changed in this Rails intro. Like if we look at the commits here, okay. So I wonder here if what it is we've got I've merged in some changes from one of the developers here. Okay, moves everything into a. There you go.
There we go. Okay.
So that's the issue.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody's going to hit that same thing.
Yeah. No. Well, my apologies for your encountering of that. And but
I got to learn things I didn't know, so that's always good.
That's exactly the attitude that we want to cultivate.
Better me than the.
Yes. So I think probably what we want to do is maybe roll back to here. But okay, I mean I'll do that and check that it works. But that solves that issue. Yeah, we were moving to this is this is Paul, who has done a lot with the AutoGraders. He's not so involved anymore. I mean, I think that the life has sort of been sucked out of him in terms of. I mean, we've rebuilt a whole framework to try and keep it all running. But it's the AutoGraders is such a big project. It's difficult to move it forward purely with volunteers. But at least I feel positive about what we've done in terms of splitting up each of the individual things into their own separate repos. What that means is that, in principle, and students is that the students can, if they find issues, they can submit pull requests to those individual repos, and then that actually makes the maintenance of them individually much easier because we can. Whereas before, if they're in one big, all large repo together, it was just a nightmare. Anyway, so hopefully at least patches will come in more easily from now on. Right. Okay. Well, we've clearly got an action item for me. Action item. Sam roll back Rails intro directory structure. So yes, well let's maybe go on to Richard's issues there. You've got a grade discrepancy on homework.
Yeah, So we have like all the pressing issues taken care of. It sounds like.
Yes, I think,
okay.
or at least the perplexing ones, shall we say?
Okay, so basically, I was trying to post my homework 0 grades and noticed that the numbers were off because all I get in the new grader, I mean in the new dashboard is essentially a percentage, and then it was like I multiplied it by 300, and it's like doesn't come out to a round number. And up and down and off by 1, and I'm like thinking, oh, it's some kind of like stupid round off error. And why I asked you the question is it was like a little bit of an issue because if I post stuff to my students and it's off, it like just creates problems for me.
Sure.
I didn't want to post, but I had promised it, and I wanted to contact edX, and I was like a little bit in a fluster, and it was like just hard to explain. Anyway, so I just let it go. I actually.
Sorry, Jen, I lost your audio there, but you might want to, if you close your video off, it might give you better audio quality.
Do you still have the submission link to submit the video links?
Let me tell my story because I think I'm guessing at a happy ending. What I wound up doing is I wound up discovering the mround function in Excel to round to the nearest 5 points, and I figured that was good enough and would give them whole numbers. Okay. Anyway, as I'm writing this down into or thinking about writing it into the agenda, I realized probably what's going on is that it is factoring in the question. So tell me, Sam, and if you think this is correct, it's factoring in the question, did you read the text on chapter 3?
Yes, quite possibly.
As some, like maybe either 1 point, I'm meant to test it out and try different numbers. And that's probably the discrepancy because it seemed like sometimes it rounded up, sometimes it rounded down. It was just really odd.
And of course that thing, they get a point for saying yes or no. They either way they get a point.
Sure. So for me it was mostly a mystery. That's my working hypothesis. It sounds like you're not aware of this directly because probably you didn't, no one looked at the grades and that.
Not particularly, no. I mean, I have to say I sort of prefer the older dashboard in terms of the details that it gives. The new one looks nice, but they seem to have removed some certain things that I used to like. And I mean, they may remove the legacy one at one point, but there is, like a edX, what's it called, like development timeline or something, which has got Open edX public roadmap, which does have kind of like a it's been moved. Okay, here, so you can see, like for example here, there is information about the discussion forums, navigation, and moderation improvements are apparently in progress. Studio publishing improvements for course authors to simplify releasing update courses, including bulk editing, are released. Full Studio GUI interface for authoring self and peer open resource assessments has been released. Private cohorts for discussion forums, so that automatic. Anyway, you get the idea.
Okay, so actually, I was just going to ask you to do what you just did. Good.
I'm way ahead of you. There you go. That's teamwork. But so I can put in here. This is like roadmap for edX. Yeah.
Right. So that gets me. So let's assume that that's resolved, or else if that's not the issue, then I'll post to the edX forum. I can deal with that. It was just going to take me 15 minutes to describe the problem, and then they're always going to ask for like links.
I know.
And screenshots, and
it's annoying. It's like you're there sort of stuck in it, and it's like what I mean. I wish they would like. I think it would make a lot more sense if their engineers would actually talk to the people in real time. But anyway, they're not.
Right, that was my issue. I just decided it was more trouble than it was worth to ask.
No problem.
And so I didn't ask yet, and may not. So, but that's just something in case anyone cares about the grade. So so certainly I went back to the legacy dashboard, found what I liked with the raw grade, so I could see what each student did for each part, right? That's very interesting, all right, because we've lost that functionality in the new one. Right. And so, my only sort of concern is like, they're threatening, the legacy is going to go away, and so just like you, if that does really happen, we will lose some important functionality.
Yeah. So again, I mean, that would
we need to post about that.
Yeah, post about that on Edge, and we back each other up, and we basically, get a pitchfork wielding mob and force them to do what we want. That's
right. So that's all cool. So I just wanted to tell that story because
Well, good to know. Good heads up. Thank you. So going on, you've got a question there about Windows, the release of.
Yeah, that was just out of curiosity because I have that tab open on my page just in case anyone has issues. It looks like that's the main release.
Yes.
And I haven't heard anyone complaining. My students have already installed, some older versions of it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Oh, that's good. So at least it seems like it solved the problems for you. So.
Well, I mean, that release came after all my students, right?
Oh, okay.
So that's why I'm sort of asking the group as people are installing it, just assuming that they're not encountering that issue anymore. Then I'll just sort of put it to rest in my.
I mean, unless people want to jump in on that, we're sort of running out of time.
Okay.
But we can leave that there as an open question. I don't know.
Okay. No, that's a non-issue. And then the only other thing is when you do the chapter, you recommend the chapter 4 walkthrough. I see how you did it in the MOOC. I will. If I assign it, the only way I'm going to get my students to do it is to grade it. So that's a little bit of an issue we've talked about in previous semesters. The only other thing we probably don't have time is. If we say like, do the walkthrough in pairs, then it doesn't make as much sense as to have people like submit something individually, or maybe it does. I don't know.
Well, I think they could still, in principle, do the walkthrough and but both be submitting it to Heroku. Yeah. I mean, you may not have the Heroku thing in there, or
so that's.
But that's more I think they can still. Thing. I think even if they do it in a pair, they can still both submit that code and add.
Oh, sure.
What I would have students do is add their name and their pair partner's name into the
sure. But I guess I was looking at it, Sam, more from a discussion viewpoint. In other words, is the walkthrough, what things are worthwhile to do individually and what things are worthwhile to do in pairs. So in other words, when we give them, I don't have them do the Ruby Code Academy in pairs.
No.
Right? So is the walkthrough more like that or more like a pair thing? And I think it's more like a pair thing, but it was just a discussion point.
I mean, I think because of the various sorts of triggering things, I think it's great to have somebody there with you to discuss it when you're walking through it. But that's
But each one of these, like especially the tutorial-like tasks, it's something to think about.
Yes, indeed. Right. Yeah. So that Mercury thing.
I just got it twice, and maybe it's me, but just
we're having some serious issues actually with the Agile Ventures site. That the people we're running out of memory on Heroku, and we're trying to address it. So apologies in advance for those. Hopefully we'll have that fixed within the next 48 hours.
All right. Is that computer memory or human memory?
So you've got your status there. Yes, and I'd say, like, in terms of explaining why you don't use the edX box as your primary course management system, I would vent your full fury on help.edge.
Right. And I just because the in one sense the history was you went in and adopted that like full board, knowing that you'd have issues and wanting to work through that, and I didn't, and I just wanted to let sort of the new people know that like it's not as good set up as like a real individual course management system.
Yes, I think people are discovering. I mean, I think it's edX is providing this for free, partly so that we will help them like round off these edges. Although we are a relatively small population in the larger set of things. But Rose has also joined us. Hey, Rose, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm kind of coming up on the end of my time. You guys, of course, can carry on talking without me, but was there anything specific that I could help you with? Any emergency issues?
No emergencies. I was curious about one thing, and that's and it's trivial. Okay, there's pro tips from Aaron Patterson on the More Ruby. Who is Aaron Patterson?
He's one of the core committers of Rails, so he's like a person who's doing a lot of coding on the Rails, and I think also Ruby as well. So he's
I just wondered if he was related to Dave.
Oh right, no, I don't think so. I think I think unrelated. Although I may be wrong there. But the key thing, I think the reason that he's in, at least the way Armando tells it, the key reason that he's in there is he's an authority on Rails and Ruby.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'm still having some issues with hooking up graded things to like the performance thing, but I'm gonna work on that next week.
Okay. All right.
Other than that, everything's good. Some problems with pair programming on air, but so far few and far between.
Okay, great. Well, if that's all right, I mean, I've got a clear action item and various other things to do. I've hit my half-hour thing. Maybe I'll hand over to Richard, and you guys carry on chatting and having fun. And just let me know if there's any other serious things come up. And as I did actually last week, I can, with the recording, I can catch up on the conversation later on. Does that sound like a plan? All right, great. I will. What will I do? I will now. I think also what I did last week is I actually left the screen share on. And I was maybe distracting everybody by going and doing people looking in the background. I'll try and remember this week to turn off my screen share. There we go. Right. Let's do this. Oh, and then hey, you can see me. And save the save this. Save the notes so you've got that. Someone else can feel free to edit those. And yes, there we go. And I'll turn off my camera and I'll turn off my sound. And I'll catch you guys, potentially in 2 weeks. We'll see how that goes. I'm thinking of moving to fortnightly, but we'll continue to communicate in the email and so on in the meantime.
Okay.
Have a nice week.
Thanks.
Thank
you guys too. Bye for now.
Yeah, and I have stuff that I'd like to get done soon, but happy to hang around for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm really good. It's just if anyone had anything, if I could contribute, I'd be happy to. But
and then the thing,
I'm fine.
Maybe for Janet, just for a sentence or two, and you heard what I said about the Spocks, and I just never felt that edX was there if I really got into a bind. I sort of wanted to keep the critical stuff and the grades and some of the interactions and so forth in my own course management system, and it didn't have some of the convenience for the forums and all the kinds of things that I wanted and my students were used to. So I'm just using the Spocks for the videos and for the homework assignments and the AutoGraders, and I guess as people run through issues, I just want to encourage them to know that there are trade-offs and alternatives, and different people are doing things differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's the same thing I'm doing, and the students, of course, were kind of unhappy because they don't like the multiple places, but the way I kind of argued is, one, the UTC thing is such a pain that I had to have a submission that I could actually control the time. And then also I feel like there's issues of grades and confidentiality that to have that information off on some other organization's server somewhere, I'm not really sure that's,
Right.
I'm not sure that
and there's issues, and I haven't found the Spock in Studio as easy and as flexible to edit. So when I want to post things and change things and assignment due dates, it just doesn't have the functionality I need. Which is, I'm not complaining. Like I'm happy for what we have, and as long as I know it, I can juggle. Students do complain about multiple sites. I and maybe you will get it even more because we send them to Ruby Code Academy, we send them to Git tutorials and stuff, and we instructors see it as like, hey, this is a benefit. This is like real life and experience, and many students do see it that way, but certainly not all.
I just made sure I linked everything from, I'm using Moodle, and the front page of the Moodle, all the links, there's links to the course syllabus, there's links to the Spock, there's links to, I said, you can get to everything from here.
Okay, so we're on the same page in that. I think, when I see messages coming from people about like problems with edX and the Spock and like either big issues or small issues, I just like look at it and roll my eyes, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm doing things as I am. So. Well,
and it's clearly designed for courses with thousands and thousands of students, where nobody's really going to care about what an individual student is doing.
Right. And it's not
looking at individual students is terrible.
Right. And correspondingly, it's not set up for like quick updates of things. Like they make it hard for you and warn you, oh, you're changing an existing live course. Do you really want to do this? And that's just the opposite of our approach. I want to be able to put up and change things at a second's notice.
Yeah. Just for a different perspective, by the way, I decided to go in the opposite direction this semester, and I'm putting everything in the Spock. So I've had to wrestle with a lot of the edX stuff, and I'm learning more. I'm getting better at it. I've still got some issues I've got to solve. So I mean, at some point, if if someone wants to try to do some more stuff in the Spock, I'd be happy to share my stuff and we could confer or whatever. But I did what you did the last 2 semesters, and that worked out fine.
Yeah. And I'm going to continue to do it that way until I'm not on the bleeding edge. Just because I'm happy to be on the bleeding edge, but not when it comes to students and this stuff, unless it's really necessary. I like having the more stable.
Yeah, well, our course management system, Blackboard, is worse than edX. I mean, it's abysmal, and it's so slow. It's just, I mean, you might as well, like, you have to enter a grade. You enter a grade, and then, like, you wait a minute, all right, before you can enter the next grade. It's absurd. So, I mean, that's sort of my self-defense, is I'm going to see if I can make more use of edX and Spock than Blackboard, because Blackboard sucks.
Yeah, we moved from Blackboard to Moodle.
I was going to say, I heard Moodle. Yeah, I hear Moodle is better.
Right, and the course, and we just upgraded to Moodle 2 and so forth. And I'm noticing that even though accessing it is fast, I'm noticing just updating our Moodle has gotten a little bit slower. Like, I'm waiting seconds between each thing I do, but it's tolerable.
Well, I don't know if it's our setup or what, but I cannot have an assignment in Moodle worth more than 250 points.
Oh, well,
so I had to make 33 points instead of 330 for homework 0. Because
yeah, and I've encountered a similar thing, except I have it worse. I cannot create an assignment higher than 100 points.
Oh.
But
that's Blackboard
I found some workarounds for that in Moodle. There's a way to create a custom grading scheme. And I also, if you just not do it as an assignment, but just create a column and upload grades, you can set up any number you want. And so I do both those things.
Yeah, the grade book is such a pain to try to edit that I'm.
No, but I upload. I upload to it.
Yeah.
And that's so I'll download my grades from edX, match them all up. Which, if I have them use their email addresses, their school email addresses, that works out easily for matching them up. And then I'll just bulk upload every so often the grades, and then I can, use any numbering scheme that I want. It's just a new column. So, just a quick suggestion.
I've been spoiled using a custom LMS that a friend of mine wrote at Miami years ago. Ooh. That just made for computer science. It was so nice, but he's off at Google now and isn't supporting it anymore, so they're even dropping it. So I have to suffer through these other tools. No more built-in rubrics. No more assignments worth whatever I want them to be.
Yeah. What a pain.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Did you, so you did homework. Have you assigned homework 2 yet, Janet?
No, what I was doing was I decided that since I had to switch computers that I would just dry run the assignments by doing them again, and that's when I ran into the problem of the
okay, good.
Of the
good.
direct.
I'm glad that's actually going to be a big help to us because you discovered it. I'm glad you were ahead of me in that. Some of these other ones I've been first, and you find the problems. One of the things that Sam recommends in the MOOC and did as an assignment in his regular course, actually he did this as an assignment instead of homework 2, is he just did the Chapter 4 Rails walkthrough. Mm-hmm. So you're aware of that. I don't know if you
I wish I'd thought of doing that before, because I don't want to add assignments on them right now. Now, when I ran through it myself, there were, at least my copy of the book had a number of bugs that really hung me up. Now, presumably there's a new version out that's better.
Right, and that can be, those can be learning experiences, especially if the bugs are. I think the bugs are like getting more and more fixed online with Sam's involvement. The only thing, and I don't think we need to talk more about this, but my issue is if I give him that assignment to just do the walkthrough, unless I make it a gradable event, the students, especially the ones who need it, aren't going to do it. And when I did this last year, we struggled, like, what's the best way to grade that? How do we know that people have done it? And so if anyone were doing that kind of thing, I just want to sort of throw that out as like there's a discussion opportunity. But I'm going to be brainstorming with my TAs.
So what I did for the Code Academy was I made them all submit either a Ruby cheat sheet based on doing the tutorials or a description of how they'd used Ruby before and why they didn't need to do the tutorials.
And what I have for Code Academy, I have a scraper that if they give me their Code Academy username, I can pull down their grades, and it comes in this wonderfully, nicely formatted spreadsheet.
Oh, wow.
So if that wasn't clear, you know, that is an option for people. I could share that. And
that's pretty cool. Yeah, no, I had a few who had already had some experience, so I didn't want to. Like, I was pleasantly surprised at what a high percentage of my students had already been using Linux.
Yeah.
I guess because the early classes here, my colleagues like to teach everything on the command line.
Yeah, that's good. I have just the opposite issue. But anyway, for the Chapter 4 walkthrough, it's not clear that I have as easily identifiable gradable events, because essentially, to a large extent, what they're doing is just recreating the Rotten Potatoes directory. So it's not clear, you know, how to identify that they really did all the steps or not. So,
yeah.
And anyway, I'm going to brainstorm with my TAs about that, and I have some ideas just mentioning that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I were having them do that, which I can't add it now, it's too late, I'd probably end up doing another, you know, either a reflection, or another thing you can do is add a piece on the end that they would have to do the first part to be able to finish.
Yeah. Yeah. The problem is they can, you know, since it's so close to creating the existing Rotten Potatoes directory, and, you know, they could just do that last step.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's my concern, is how do we know that they've really sort of done the steps? And I'm fine if it's too much trouble, then we just, you know, tell it. We sort of like make believe we can grade it, and then if they want to cheat and not do the work, that's fine. I don't.
Yeah, I'm figuring I'll know if they did it or not when they try to do homework 2 and can't.
Yeah, that's right.
You know? I mean, that's, you know, I mean, that's basically how it worked with the MOOC. You know, you go to do homework 2 and it was an absolute killer, and it's like, yeah, if you hadn't walked through some of these other steps, it really didn't make a lot of sense.
Right. Right. Okay. Good. Anything else?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. So what we'll do is, you know, we'll just talk with Sam. It sounds, for better or worse, Sam is getting busier with other things, as I suspected. And the good side, upside, is he is involved with the MOOC, so that means he'll keep like the big MOOC stuff working and be a good contact. But he's not doing his local course, which means his interest in the Spock issues, his personal interest in identifying them, will be a little less. But I'll try and help out, and the rest of us will move on. I don't know if he'll want me to host this next week or he'll do it, but I think we're good.
Well, sometime soon we're going to need the part 2s for the class as well.
Yes, you know, that is actually the thing I forgot to bring up. When are we? Because I want to start very early customizing that.
Yeah, so just I guess start that as an email. You know, you can put it in the action.
Right,
if you add it to his action items, that would be good. And send an email about it. I wind up, just Janet, so you know, I think we've said this. We found it to be too much trouble to edit the existing Spocks to actually combine them. I've tried it a couple of times, so we just say, guys, here's a new link. Sorry about it, and we give them, you know, sort of the second Spock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not bad. It works out.
Yeah. So yet another link for your students to deal with. Another thing.
Yeah, you know.
But maybe if they have that to complain about, maybe they won't complain about other things that are even more annoying.
There you go.
The fact that I've had, like, I think almost perfect attendance at my 8:30 a.m. class, I think they like the material. So.
Wow. That's fantastic.
I did not make it today, but they both emailed me to apologize. So.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Signing off.
Okie doke. Okay, everyone have a great week.
You too.
Right, see you in email or next week.
All right.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And Sam, you can end this if you see this.